Hi, welcome back to my channel, Beautiful Minutia. If you're new here, my name is Tiffany and welcome to the second VICTOBER vlog of this month. I've been doing these weekly vlogs, or at least that's my plan to continue them, to kind of give you a snapshot into like the coziness of VICTOBER and what I'm reading. I'm reading a lot of excellent books, so really looking forward to sharing that with you. So what am I reading this week? I'm reading a few things. I just started Romanov by Nadine Brandes. It's Sunday right now, October 9th. So I started this yesterday on Saturday, and I mentioned this in my last vlog that I started it. I'm filming the beginning of this vlog right after the end of last one, so I don't really have any update on it so far, just that I am enjoying it. It is a historical fantasy about the Romanov family, and it's really interesting so far and a lot of fun. I'm also planning to read at least one more short story from Oscar Wilde this week. I've read the first two with my friend Dia, and I'm just really enjoying them. So I read the first two, which are The Happy Prince and The Selfish Giant, and story 3 is The Devoted Friend. Tia's already read it. She's ahead of me as always. So I need to read that one and then chat with her. I am also reading The Warden by Anthony Trollope. I don't have a lot of that left. I think I have like 40 or 50 pages left of that one. And I'm enjoying it somewhat, well, I shouldn't say somewhat, because I am enjoying it, but the past couple of chapters that I've read have kind of like lagged for me, to be honest. He's been talking about like the news and the media of the time, the newspaper and stuff, and he's just like kind of going off on these tangents, and it feels a little bit long-winded. At least those chapters have, where I'm like, okay, ready to move on to the story now, because these people are supposed to be talking and you took 2 chapters to talk about all the things that you like or don't like about newspapers, and I just want to know the conversation that these people had. But overall, I actually am really enjoying the story, and I really like the character of the warden, and I like his daughter, and so I am finding the villain of the story, I would guess he's the villain, sort of, the archdeacon, is really funny to me. He's cracking me up. So I am enjoying it, but the past couple chapters have just kind of lagged for me, so I'm hoping that we're going to kind of get back more into the story with the last little bit of the book that's left. I'm also still listening to North and South by Elizabeth Gaskell. I'm only 6 chapters into that, so not far at all, but I still have a lot of the month left to listen to that one, and that one's going to be my primary audiobook for the month, but I have been listening to The Warden just a little bit. It's going to be a really busy week because my mother is coming to stay with my daughter and our animals, and my husband and I are going on a retreat for pastors and wives in our area, and our district, that's kind of like involving all the churches of our denomination, is very generously sending all the pastors and wives to Orange Beach, Alabama. My goodness, I'm really looking forward to it. I think it's gonna be a really fun trip. I'm really looking forward to seeing the ocean. I've never been to Alabama before, so this is a completely new state for me, so it's kind of fun to check that off as well. But my mom's coming in on Tuesday, and we are leaving on Wednesday, and we will not be back until the following Sunday night. So there's a lot to do and a lot that's going on, so I'll try to update you the best that I can. Reading update time. I have been busily cleaning today, so all the windows are open, so maybe a little more nature sounds or cars going by than normal, so sorry about that, but it's too beautiful to keep the windows closed today. Am I the only one that cleans a whole bunch before they go out of town, because like I want to come home to a clean house? So I did finish The Warden yesterday, and really enjoyed it. I had a doctor's appointment yesterday and was waiting for a while, and that was like a added perk of waiting is I got quite a bit of reading done. So I ended up really enjoying this book. I really enjoyed the characters and their relationships. There were a few moments where it kind of dragged for me, but I loved the relationship, especially between Mr. Harding and his youngest daughter, Eleanor. I just loved them. And I also love the relationship of the bishop and Mr. Harding, that despite the fact that they disagreed about a lot of things, they actually were still friends. And that's something that I loved about Mr. Harding, is that he didn't have a requirement for someone to have the same opinions as him for him to love them and want to get along with them and care about them and want to be friends and all that kind of stuff. And he even encourages his daughter to marry someone who is in opposition to him. And I think that that really says a lot about his character, as does the end of the book, but I don't want to spoil that. So I do want to read this quote for you, though. I think it's wonderful and so relatable. It's a very bookish quote, and it just says, "What on earth could be more luxurious than a sofa, a book, and a cup of coffee?" And I quite agree. That sounds absolutely heavenly to me. So I really enjoyed this. I will continue on in the Barsetshire Chronicles. I haven't talked to anyone who says that this is their favorite. Most people say other books are their favorites, so I think that it's only just going to continue to get better as I read more. I haven't got much else reading done this week so far. I have listened to a little bit of North and South. I think like 2 chapters while I was working on stuff yesterday, but I have had a lot going on, just trying to run errands and prepare to go out of town with my husband, and I'm really looking forward to it. We leave tomorrow, so I probably will not have another update for you until we're in Alabama, because my mom is coming in this afternoon. So when I'm not packing, I want to spend the rest of my time spending a little bit of time with her. My dilemma now is like, what books do I take with me on vacation? I am for sure taking Romanov because I'm still reading this. I haven't made any progress since I last spoke to you, so I'm 109 pages in, but I want to bring this one because I'm enjoying it. I showed this book in my last vlog because I picked it up as a library hold, and it's Remarkably Bright Creatures, and this just feels like very oceany, potentially very beachy, so maybe I'll bring this, but I know it takes place in the Pacific Northwest, so it's probably colder, so maybe it's not the vibe I'm going for. I also have, for a light read, Finlay Donovan is Killing It, which I've never seen this cover for this book before, but this is like a large print edition, so this feels like just like a good light beach kind of read. I'm also considering just ditching all my plans and picking up Red Seas Under Red Skies, which is this book 2 of the Gentleman Bastard series, so I might do that. I might just bring this instead. I don't really know. I don't think I'm gonna bring any Victorian books with me, which sounds weird for Victober, but I have completed quite a few things already. And the only other book I have left to start is A Tale of Two Cities, and I'm not really supposed to be starting that until next week. So I probably will not bring that with me, so we'll see. But my husband and I love to listen to audiobooks when we're on the road as well. So I have several Agatha Christie's downloaded, so maybe we'll listen to Agatha Christie. But it did just also have a hold come in for the Thursday Murder Club. I've heard a lot of people talk about that. It's apparently a really fun, cozy mystery, so he might enjoy that. I don't know. And I'm sure I will still be listening to North and South if I'm doing like walks on the beach and stuff, so I'll probably get some of that read. So that's like my Victorian thing, I guess, that I'm taking with me. I guess I'll update you as to what my final decision is. I'm so bad about deciding what books to bring with me. Maybe I'll put a poll up on Instagram so I don't have to decide and people can help me. Oh, also, I wanted to share this. Is this not the loveliest thing ever? This is obviously the letter of James from the New Testament, and this is the Illuminated Scripture Journal. It's tiny because James is a short book. I think it only has 5 chapters. We are starting James in our ladies thing that we do at church. We have like a ladies night once a month, and we're gonna start James this month, next week actually. And so I got this because Rainy from Rainy Day Reads I just got this. And so Rainey made me do it. It was only like, I think it was like $5 or $6. And the inside, it has all these rooms to take notes next to the scripture. And there's even like some artwork and stuff too. So I think that they have this for pretty much all the books of the Bible. I wanted to get kind of an NIV because I have memorized so much scripture in the NIV, but this is like the ESV and I just like could not pass it up. So thank you, Rainey, for influencing me. Okay, well, that's my update for now. I don't have anything else to share. So I will update you probably once we get to Alabama and let you know what I decide to bring with me and what I'm reading. From the worst vlogger updater ever, which kind of knew was going to happen. It's Friday morning and we got to Gulf Shores last night. Well, it's Orange Beach, but you know, we're on the Gulf. It's just lovely here. I haven't had as much time to physically read, but I am still reading Romanov and I only have like 20 pages left. I sat on the balcony and read last night and it was just lovely. As an update for what books I brought with me, I brought them all. And also Return of the Native by Thomas Hardy, in case I was feeling like physically reading something Victorian. I am listening to North and South. I took a walk on the beach this morning and listened to a couple chapters of North and South. So that's my Victober vibe right now. I also listened to some audiobooks on the trip down. It's about a 9.5 hour drive. So we were listening to some audiobooks. We started the Thursday Murder Club and my husband was just not digging it, and I get it because it's more of a cozy mystery. It doesn't seem as twisty as like an Agatha Christie. We wanted to give it a try because our options for Agatha Christie's were all ones that I had previously read, so we got about 25% of the way in, so he really gave it a fair try and then he's just done with it. I will probably still continue listening to it because I do like the characters and I think that they're funny, but I don't really find the story all that engaging. It just seems like very light and fluffy and fun, so I will probably still continue to listen to it, but not until after I get home. I'm like sweating in here. Can you see? It's hot in here. Oh, that's why I'm not turning off the air conditioner if there's loud noise in the background, and my husband's taking a shower, but this is when I have time to film, so noisy it is. If I sat outside, it would be even worse because there's lots of people outside since we're in a hotel and our air conditioning unit's right on our balcony. Anyway, after that, we started listening to Third Girl by Agatha Christie. It's narrated by Hugh Fraser, just like the last Poirot that we listened to. I love Hugh Fraser as a narrator. He plays Colonel Hastings in the original like Poirot TV show with David Suchet. And he's like the perfect narrator. I love it so much. So we're not that far into that. I think like maybe 10%, maybe 15. I'm feeling like it's 10 now. So yeah, we're enjoying that one so far. It's really intriguing. It's about this girl who comes to Poirot and thinks that she may have committed a murder, and then she just totally disappears. So they're trying to figure out, did a murder happen where is she? What's happening? And she's like the third girl on an apartment lease, where like one girl gets the lease and then invites a friend, and then together they either put out some sort of advertisement or invite a third friend, a third girl, to come and live with them, and she's the third girl in this apartment. So yeah, that's what I'm reading. Like I said, I'm almost done with Romanov, so I'm trying to decide what I'm going to pick up next. Kind of feeling Remarkably Bright Creatures because I'm like on the beach, so that kind of feels appropriate. But I read like the first page or so of both Finlay Donovan is Killing It and Remarkably Bright Creatures before I left, and was intrigued by both of them, which is why I couldn't decide which one to bring. So I'm not exactly sure what I'm going to choose next, but it's funny because down in the lobby of our hotel there's this huge like octopus painting, so that's kind of making me want to pick up Remarkably Bright Creatures. So we'll see. I'm sure I will finish this today. We do have a little bit of plans today. Basically how this retreat is working is that there's like a morning session with like worship and preaching, and then the rest of the day is free, which is amazing because most retreats I've been to, there's a session in the morning and a session in the evening, and your afternoon is free. So if you want to take a nap, that's just about all you have time for. So after today's session, we'll probably get lunch. I don't know if we'll go out or if we'll just make sandwiches because I brought sandwich stuff with us. And then we have like a boat tour that we're going on that I'm really excited about, to see like dolphins, and then it goes a little bit like inland, so you can see like different types of birds and nature and potentially alligators, which is not my favorite, but it would be really cool to see all that. So we're doing that this afternoon, and those are the only plans that we have made. Oh yeah, and we're spending some time with some other friends this evening, but that's not till like 7:30, so we have lots of time to just chill, and I'm thrilled about that. So I will probably spend time reading on the beach today at some point, or at least on my balcony looking at the beach, because it's so lovely here. I love being by the ocean. It's like my happy place. And I know that's different for different people. Like my husband much prefers like the woods and the mountains to the ocean. Like that's more of his happy place. But the ocean is mine. It's just very peaceful for me. It's kind of like a mental and spiritual reset every time I'm near the ocean and can hear the waves crashing, and I don't know, it's just amazing. I love it so much. So that's my update. Hopefully I will have another update for you before we leave on Sunday. But we'll see. Apparently this is a very B-roll reading vlog, so hopefully you're okay with that. Good morning. It's Sunday morning. There's background noise again, so sorry. That's just how it is in this hotel, I guess. So anyways, I finished Romanov, and I really loved this book. I was kind of, in a way, surprised at how much I loved it, and then in another way, not surprised, because I love all things Russian, which you probably know if you've been here for very long, and I'm very interested in Russian history and would like to start reading more of it. So this just made me want to pick up a book about the Romanovs, and I have several nonfiction books about them at home. I have one by Helen Rappaport and one by Robert K. Massey, so I might have to pick one of those up for Nonfiction November. But anyways, this book ended up being so much more than just a retelling kind of the Romanovs with a magical twist thrown in of like Anastasia being able to make spells and Rasputin being a spell master and stuff. There's that magical element to it. But the overarching theme of this book is forgiveness, and it's just beautiful. Like spiritually, this book is so beautiful, and I feel like it's different than this author's other book, Fox, in that it doesn't feel quite as heavy-handed spiritually to me as that one did. And I had some issues with some of the way some of those spiritual things were handled in that book, although I did enjoy it overall. I think I gave that one like maybe 3 stars, and this one I would probably give 4.5, at least having just finished it recently. Sometimes ratings change over time, but I really loved it. There are elements to the romance that I didn't really like. It felt kind of Stockholm syndrome-y at first, but then there's very real conflict in their relationship, and they have to like really work through things and really talk through things, and their relationship becomes a whole lot deeper than it was at surface level, kind of insta-love / Stockholm syndrome. It's kind of how it started. So it definitely improves over time with that aspect as well, which is something that I really appreciated about it. But I enjoyed this one more than I was anticipating, so I'm thrilled about that. You probably saw afterwards from my clips that the next book that I picked up was Remarkably Bright Creatures by Shelby Van Pelt. I am close to halfway in this book, and I don't know how I feel about it. I feel like atmospherically it's been really nice for where I am, although it does take place in the Pacific Northwest. But it takes place in the summer and near the ocean, and it involves a very large octopus, and so it kind of really fit with where I was this week. But I don't know, so there is, the giant octopus is one of the perspectives, and his perspective is the best part of this book for sure. And then there's an older lady who has experienced a lot of loss. Like, she has lost her husband and her son, both very tragically and suddenly, and that is just like, there's a lot of like grief and emotion there, and she's kind of like bonding with this octopus, and I love that whole storyline. But we have a couple other storylines that we're being introduced to as well. One of them is like a 30-year-old guy named Cameron who was raised by his aunt because his mother was a drug addict. He has no clue who his father was, and he's just a mess. And honestly, I get that he's trying to work through some things, but his perspective is just like really annoying to me and very immature. Even though he's young, it's still super immature for his age. I'm only a couple years older than him, and I'm like, you're acting like you're 17. Like, what is wrong with you? Which I get that there's trauma there, so I probably shouldn't say that, but I just don't like his perspective at all. And then there's an older Scottish guy who has immigrated to the United States from Scotland, who runs a grocery store in the elderly lady's neighborhood, and I don't really like his perspective either. So if it had just been the older lady and the octopus, I think I would really be enjoying this book, but the other perspectives are just not, they're just not it for me, and I don't feel very connected to any of the characters, even the elderly lady, though I do like her. I haven't felt like very emotional at any of the grief that she's processing. I felt like immediately the grief was just like thrown at you, but because you didn't know her at all, it made it actually hard to really feel that. And maybe I wouldn't feel that way if I had experienced the kind of loss that she experienced, but because I haven't, it didn't feel connecting to me. It just felt like the author just trying to pile on a ton of emotion, and there's really like no plot at all at this point still, and I'm already halfway through the book. So I'm going to continue it for now. This is our last morning here in Orange Beach, and we are leaving probably around 11 or noon, and we'll drive halfway home, spend the night tonight, and get home tomorrow. So I'm going to continue reading this book today and possibly tomorrow as well. But unless the plot has really picked up and started to suck me in, by the time I get home, I'm probably going to feel maybe like DNFing this book. But I'm going to continue to read it for now because it's interesting enough that I want to read it. I mostly want to read it for the octopus's perspective and the relationship with the older lady that's developing, this friendship between the two of them. So we'll see, but when I get home, I'm supposed to be starting A Tale of Two Cities. I'm supposed to be prioritizing, so we'll see once I'll make a decision, probably at the beginning of my next reading vlog. I'm gonna wrap this up here, even though obviously there's still plenty of Sunday left, and we'll probably finish our audiobook on the road today, but I doubt that I'm going to feel like updating once we get to our hotel tonight. I'm probably gonna be pretty tired. So I hope you enjoyed this vlog. I feel like it has been a lot more clips than me actually sitting down and talking about what I'm reading. I'd love to hear from you in the comments down below. What have you been reading this week? Have you read any of the books that I read in this vlog? If so, what were your thoughts? Does Remarkably Bright Creatures get better, or does it kind of just feel kind of like loose, I guess? Because that's kind of how it feels. It feels like that the author is going to try to converge all these plot points, but at this point it's not, and it just kind of feels like all the threads are floating. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked this video, please hit like and also subscribe so you can continue to see more bookish content from me. I will see you again next time.